Hey, you guildies, and welcome back to another beautifully pixelated day here on my Minecraft server. I'm just kind of, beating up on some bamboo, apparently. No, that's not what I'm doing. I am on my way over to the mob drop to pick up some stuff because I, last episode, was able to fix my villager breeder and subsequently got the villager trader going, the trader exchange, the trade post, if you will. I had that going, and now I need to, I don't need to, but I'm going to go get some materials and some things and trade with the fishermen, the butchers, the zealots, the priests, I guess. What are they called? Yeah, the priests. The priests are really what I'm going over here for. I need to go pick up a whole bunch of rotted flesh. And in order to do that, I've gone ahead and taken the liberty of bringing an ender chest along. So I'll be able to just put that bad boy down, load that up, so I'll have an ender chest full, and then I'll grab the rest by hand and haul as much as I can that way. I've experimented before on using an ender chest and a hopper, but that doesn't work. That would have been a very easy way, a very convenient way to do a quick transport system, but it didn't work. I suppose I could create one that goes through the nether or goes onto a rail line or something, but that's a lot of effort just to do something that, you know, if I could put a hopper onto an ender chest, would have been like boom, 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 and you're done. But, you know, this will take just as long as it takes, so I'll do this, and then we'll have a bunch of stuff done, and I will have all of my villager traders that I've captured so far, captured I say, but they're housed snugly in their 1x1 units of space, enjoying themselves as I trade with them diligently and get free levels. As you can see, I'm up to 24 now. Almost everything I have is repaired, and my helmets, my boots and my helmets are almost completely done. That one is completely done. And when I get back there, I'm going to have some surprises to show you. But what I'm doing here is putting down my ender chest, and let's find what I'm looking for. Arrows, I don't need those necessarily. Maybe in the future I will. That I don't need bones right now. Rotting flesh, believe it or not, is what I need right now. So I'm going to take some rotting flesh. Oh boy, that's so much flesh. Stick it in the old ender chest. And grab that much more rotting flesh. And go back to my base and trade with villagers and unlock all of their villager trades. And once I've got everybody's villager trades unlocked, I'm going to go through and show you some of the things that they had and show you the benefits of having a villager breeder near your base and a mob drop with which to trade things with. Alright, guildies, I've taken the liberty of getting a whole bunch of villagers traded up to the point where they are maximized, and as you can see, I got some pretty nice things. So right away, this guy was fire protection 4, excuse me. So I was like, oh, that was pretty nice. So I started working on him, trading and trading and trading. And the next thing I know, I was like, Prot 1, why would I need that? And then knockback 2, okay, that's okay, but I don't know. But over here, efficiency 5, frostwalker, mending, silk touch, prot 4. This guy just came around the corner and spawned like this. So I had that mending book right away. That was a pretty nice little trade. This guy looks to be my respiration guy. Not so much for the luck of the sea. So here, silk touch, protection 4, efficiency 5, mending. Fire protection 4, knockback 2. Those are pretty nice. All right, so around the corner, I've got a couple examples of other dudes. This is a butcher, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I just turn the egg farm into something else, and as you can see, there's some miscellaneous things I traded, you'll see. So, traded the raw chicken, and there's not much for this guy. Butchers are kind of like that. Armorers, they have some interesting things. That's where these helmets came from. But, I don't know. Projectile protection 2, unbreaking 1. In a pinch, and then this whole set of 4 chainmail unlocked after I did some trades back here, but that's about the extent of it. Chainmail, if you want to go for chainmail for some reason. It's kind of cosmetic, I suppose. But if you were in a pinch early and you wanted to, if you came across a villager and you found an armor, you might be able to get some nice stuff for pretty cheap. And I say cheap because it's pretty easy to get 18 emeralds with like a Fletcher around. And Fletchers don't have very great back ends either. They're usually flint and a bow. But the front end is real nice. String, which I have in abundance because of my mob drop, will get me 1 emerald. And this happens to be the lowest number that this can be. It's a random number, 16 to, I don't know, I'm going to say 24. I'm not sure what the numbers are off the top of my head, but I know that's the lowest one. And it just happens to be divisible into 64 really nicely. So this is going to be the place where I come and get a bunch of emeralds for string. And every now and again, I'll trade 1 emerald for some arrows. And that'll take care of that. Over here, over here I have a fisherman who is essentially the same way. He's locked right now because I haven't traded with him in a while. Let me see if I can. That's kind of a bad trade for me. But, is he still locked? Oh, see, Those little glowing purples and this green sparkle means that he is no longer unlocked. One of them might mean that he gets additional things. So as you can see, the string for emeralds is back in effect. Cooked fish. His ultimate thing is the fishing rod. This one has Unbreaking 2 and Lure 1, but as you know, we have the ultimate, thank you very much, NIMS TV for the automatic fishing farm. That is the way to go if it has anything to do with fishing. But we're going to keep this guy around also because he's got another divisible 64 string for emerald, so that's going to be real nice. So I'll probably end up flushing this guy and this guy just because they're not much to them. But I wanted you to see what they were. Oh, here's another guy. He made it all the way around here. This is the first one I caught, you might remember. And he had Frostwalker 2 on there, so I'm keeping it. And he also had Aqua Affinity, so I'm keeping it. Lure 1, not so much. Not so pertinent, again, because of the automatic fishing farm. What do we got here? These torches signify somebody I wanted to show you specifically. A toolsmith. If you find him early in the game, you can find a nice little shovel. That could be, I think that can be anything, but unlocking him further, you can get a nice pickaxe, and unlocking him beyond this, you can get a diamond pickaxe. Why would anybody trade 4 diamonds for an emerald? I don't know. I might. If there was a way to get more diamonds than emeralds, but there's obviously an easier way to get emeralds than diamonds. Anyways, we're here to open up and see what he got here. Efficiency 2 and Unbreaking 2. And as I understand it, those can go all the way up to 3 or superior to that. So not a bad way. If you find a toolsmith early and there's a couple priests nearby, you can hunt zombies and make it happen. That's another toolsmith. That's another weaponsmith, I think. Yes. Weapon and tool. These guys are all going to get flushed here pretty soon. Let me see. Where's the next guy I wanted to stop at? Oh, this was the next guy I wanted to stop at. What do we got here? A weaponsmith. Weaponsmiths can get you swords, which is where this guy came from, and works up to another sword, this time diamond. So that's what you can get from a weaponsmith if you run into him out in the village. This trade post, I would not keep him around. He'll be flushed here shortly. Nobody here worth talking to. They're mainly priests that I've been trading to get emeralds, well, my rotten flesh from the mob drop. And then this guy is a leather worker, and he's kind of unique in that he gives you leather armor. You can unlock him pretty quickly for some, again, cheap leather, and a saddle. That's probably his primary thing, the saddle. So that's why you would want to unlock him if you didn't have the automatic fish farm, which will drop tons and tons of saddles also. So he'll get flushed. All of these gentlemen are going to get flushed, and they're going to be sent down this way. In fact, let's send one of them now. Where's the closest one I can send? What is this guy? A cleric. 37 is a little high. Oh, these numbers, redstone 1 to 4, lapis 1 to 3, so, or 1 to 2. So since that's not the maximized one, is this guy the maximized one? He might stick around. In fact, he probably definitely will stick around. That's a little expensive, but this will be a good way to get lapis and redstone if I'm in a pinch, so we'll keep him around. But let's flush this guy. Let's flush him again. Get down there, you. All right, so he's going to cruise on down here, and we're going to see him come down this way in a little bit, and then he'll pop up. One hopes. It should be all right because he's in... Oh, it's a 3 high. But still, he's barricaded in. All right, so there's the fence post, and then boom. Up, the old villager. Hello, how are you? Get on up there. Wow, you can see pretty far up there. I'm glad I did it this way. All right, so now let's go upstairs and see what he looks like. All right, guildies, and up here you can see our little guy. It's another beautifully polygonal day here on my Minecraft server. But you can see my little guy has come up the elevator, and I think I like the way this looks. More and more I look at it. I'm going to have to leave this here somehow. And gets ready to be pushed out. Now, I'm going to have to get a few of them and push them out and get them going and trying to figure out what's up. But before I do that, I really need to try to find out... Actually, I'm going to do that off camera. I think I screwed up. Looking at these points, and let's face it, that's more probable than possible. Screwing up, that is. I'm looking at these points, and I'm looking at where I'm at, and if the chunk is 256 wide, that means it's 188... What am I thinking? 256. 128. 128. Excuse me. Why did I say 180? Anyways, from here to there, so at the point that's 252 minus 128. Oh, it's going to be almost 128 itself. So just cruise on out there, and you will see... Let me get rid of this. that my original marker that I had out here for the edge of my spawn chunk was incorrect. It could be because I wasn't really looking at this one very closely at the time. I was trying to do all my tests on that one farther out over there. I've turned down my render distance to 8 chunks. The idea was sitting in the middle back over there. Let me get out of the way of the flame there. I would only be able to see as far away as my spawn chunk would be by turning that feature off and on. Hold on, let me see if I can find it real fast. Video settings, right over here. So my render distance chunks was only 8 chunks. So using that methodology, I put this torch out here where I think the end should be, and went over there to see if I could see it, and as you can see, it's barely in range, and if I back up ever so slightly, it's out of range, right? So that's kind of cool. So the idea is somewhere in here is going to be my spawn chunk area. So let me go ahead and toss a few of these while I'm kind of backing up a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. Boop, 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 boop. And then I will go into the nether for 5 minutes or so. The idea is 60 seconds after I enter the nether, everything here will stop acting as it's being preserved. And those items will despawn after 5 minutes, except those things that aren't in the spawn chunk. So those things that aren't in the spawn chunk will unload, preserving their decay time, their rot time, whatever the variable is that they call it here. And when I come out of the nether, that should be there. Okay, so what am I going to do in the nether for 5 minutes? Well, I could go looking for some glowstone. I could always use a little extra glowstone. I could try to set some things up. I could head on over to the mob farm and gather some more things, but I think what I'm going to do is kind of get an idea of what certain items are going to look like. So, passing through. Let's go back here. I made a little room back here earlier when I had this area. These are some of the materials I could use to place doors in my iron farm that are going to be creating here in just a little bit. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be the regular oak wood doors. I'm told it can be any type of door, so I'm going to check and see which of these doors kind of appeal to me just by kind of looking at them. Right away, I think this one is looking pretty good, and so is this one, because this could be interesting as well. This one, not so much. That one could, that one could. Of course, the traditional door, we all know what those look like. Whew. For a second there, I thought I was still near my villager breeder and thought I might have just broke it. And speaking of an iron farm, once you get these doors in place, you don't want to place any doors near them, and more specifically, within 65 blocks of them. Each door has a radius of 32, so if you have 65, there should not be any overlap between the two circles, and those two villages should be far enough apart. And as I can tell, as best I can tell, that's the best way to measure a village distance from another village, is to one door, the closest 2 doors between 2 villages, for example, that distance should be greater than 65. 65 or greater. Now, within a village, the village center is located between the 2 points. So if this was a door, and that was a door, and these were all blanks, then the village center would be right here. But that doesn't make it the edge of the village. But that type of math is only special for when you're actually trying to create multiple villages near each other, breaking that 65 block rule. It's a very long and convoluted process. You can do it. I would suggest reviewing Tango Tech. He is the man when it comes to this. He understands it a little bit better than anybody else I know, so you can go check him out. If you want to see how village doors and village centers work, look for the Iron Farm. It's I think he calls it the Titan. Call it the Iron Titan. That's it. The Iron Titan Farm, if you want to go check that out. But this is about the cosmetics of what I'm going to do. So I'm looking at these doors, and I'm thinking that one or that one. Am I going to use sandstone again? Probably. I can't use glass in the center sections, but I could use glass around the edges. So I might have like a sandstone bowl with blue stained glass around the edges, and these doors making up the doors, for each villager farm that I'm going to create, villager iron farm, that I'm going to create. Yeah, I think these two. This one maybe and this one. We'll see. I'm going to have to go into my testing world and try a couple different things, and maybe I'll show you a clip of those. But in the meantime, I'm going to waste 5 minutes looking at this stuff under the thing, and then we're going to go out there and we're going to see back in the overworld, and we're going to see whether or not those items despawned, respawned, etc., etc. So I'll be back in just a moment, and the next time you see me, we'll be up over the overworld trying to see if that worked. Okay, so that was just a quick 6-7 minutes down there in the Nether, and while I was down there, I was contemplating how I was going to make my guys, and how I was going to make each iron farm, and how I was going to make the transport system to each one work, etc., etc. How whether or not I was going to leave this giant observational pole that was one of the first things I built when I was trying to both find my spawn chunks and find whether or not there was anything around this island at all. I turned up my render distance all the way on that and just cranked it. Okay, so here are some items, and if we're to believe this, then this would be the end of my spawn chunk, if in fact I did it correctly. But let's see here. Is this going to be... Let me see. That torch I am looking at, I'm standing on 148. Nope, I'm still in something. Oh, but... So 149 to 148. This might be the edge of my chunk. Hard to tell based on what's going on here. Let's do that. But I still think it's supposed to be this point back here. I just don't know how to do this thing correctly. Not that important. Kind of important if I want my iron farms to be going at all times without my presence. But if I'm not even logged in, it won't matter. And if I am logged in here, I'd probably just be nearby, working on something, cutting down trees down below, or heading over towards that, whoops, desert temple, water temple, excuse me. But that's where we're at. I can't really figure out where it is, and that's frustrating, and I don't know why there's darkness there, but there is. So what I'm going to do is, since this is my compass center point here, and this is the find your center point manually way, I am going to go 110 that away, or 100 that away, whoops, from this point, and then build something that's 18 wide, so that'll give me a little bit of space on the inside. And then I'll do the same thing that away and that away, and they should all be greater than 65 apart. But the first one I'm going to do is going to be straight out center. I know that I said I was going to put it over here. In fact, I've already removed the waterway, the pathway of glass that I was using to get out there, because I think my symmetry for the island is more important. So that's where I'm going to put that. The next step for me is to do some testing. That is to say, go into a testing world, a creation mode, and think about where I am going to put and how I'm going to put my villager breeder. I'm going to want a small platform upon which it will be filled with chests. I'm sure it's not going to be that huge of an iron farm, so it won't necessitate a great deal of storage. I think I should be able to manage it myself. But I might set up the system in such a way that I can quickly and easily convert from iron ingots to iron blocks, perhaps. And if it gets to that point, though, man, that's a lot of iron. And I need to set up some type of sorting system to sort out poppies, I think. Have an overflow system for both, should they overflow. So I could run a line off for the poppies and let them fill up a chest, and then run it beyond that chest, once it overflows that chest, into something that disperses them down to the bottom of the ocean, or more likely onto a cactus or something, because I don't need them going through a portal to maintain their activity. They're not going to be so close together that they need to maintain it or be unlinked as a village. Again, that's go check out Tango Tick. If none of this makes any sense, I'm not going to take the time to explain it. He's done it quite well. However, I'm going to run 2 lines, one for the red poppies and one for the iron, just in case. If I have extra iron and it's really that full, then I'm going to have those pop onto a cactus too. Better to not have them taking up memory space than have them. And I think I'm going to make mine 1, 2, maybe 3. And I'm going to set mine up so that my guys catch on fire as they drop, so they look like they're jumping off of a cliff into the flaming, like Hawaiian jumpers, cliff divers, jump off the cliff with torches in their hands and then come and splash into the water, or a stuntman, whatever. But I'm thinking, oh yeah, I could make it look like a giant inflatable bag down here. But no, I don't think I mean, I'd like that, but I prefer the cosmetics. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go into my testing world and experiment a little bit on what the villager iron farm is going to look like, and what the reception area is going to look like. And then once I've got that decided, I'm going to come back here and lay down the foundation and get started on the first iron farm village.